Welcome, hunters! It's finally time to take a deep dive into Monster Hunter Wilds, a highly anticipated and much debated release that has sparked discussions and will undoubtedly continue to do so in the coming months, perhaps even years. Right away, let's acknowledge that Wilds serves as a solid foundation for future expansions and improvements. But today, we'll focus on what the game is right now, capturing a snapshot of its current state. Given that much of the discourse has revolved around the game's technical aspects and optimization, let's flip the usual review structure and address that first. There's no avoiding it. Monster Hunter Wilds is among the most demanding IK titles available, yet visually it does not justify its hardware requirement. Compared to other modern releases, its graphical fidelity falls short, with dated textures, lackluster effects, and reflections that feel underwhelming. This disparity is particularly noticeable on mid-range or older hardware, including PlayStation 5, where the game struggles to deliver a visually pleasing experience. The upscaling implementation is rough, leading to an image quality that barely meets acceptable standards. The PS5 Pro manages to mitigate this issue slightly, thanks to its increased power and a more efficient upscaling technique, but even then the results remain subpar given the capabilities of the hardware. Beyond graphics, performance issues further hinder the experience. The game is resource-heavy, causing significant strain on various system configurations. Stability problems, frequent crashes, and even connectivity issues in online play add to the frustration, making Wilds a technically flawed experience at launch. Can these problems be fixed? While patches can address some stability concerns, drastic improvements to assets and overall visual fidelity are unlikely. Major overhauls to a game's technical framework are rare post-launch. However, future updates, expansions, or a G-Rank DLC may bring refinements and optimizations over time. Shifting focus to the story, Wilds attempts to integrate a stronger narrative component, possibly to appeal to a wider audience. While the intention is commendable, the execution leaves much to be desired. There are visually impressive moments and a handful of well-crafted scenes. Overall, the narrative fails to captivate. The cast feels underdeveloped, and the pacing often drags, creating a disconnect between the story and the core gameplay experience. In many instances, the narrative feels like an obstacle rather than an enhancement. Rather than drawing players deeper into the world, it often encourages skipping dialogue just to get back into the action. Given the potential for richer storytelling in a Monster Hunter game, this aspect comes across as underwhelming. Fortunately, the core gameplay, the heart of Monster Hunter, remains as engaging as ever. Wilds does not reinvent the formula, but refines it with well-thought-out adjustment. One of the standout additions is the precision strike mechanic, which introduces a new layer of strategy to combat. These precise attacks create wounds on monsters, providing both a tactical advantage and increased loot reward. This change makes battles more dynamic and rewarding, even though it slightly reduces overall difficulty. The game still offers a vast array of weapons, each with distinct playstyles, ensuring variety and depth. Experimenting with different weapons can keep the experience fresh, and adapting to each monster's patterns adds to the strategic depth. The game follows the traditional structure: low rank, high rank, and end game. The low rank segment serves as an extended tutorial, introducing mechanics and easing players into the experience. For veterans, this phase may feel overly simplistic, but it provides a necessary foundation for newcomers. High rank introduces tougher encounters and more advanced gear progression, offering a more rewarding challenge. However, narrative pacing slows significantly here, allowing players to focus more on hunting rather than following a structured storyline. The real Monster Hunter experience begins in endgame, where the focus shifts entirely to refining gear, optimizing builds, and tackling the most challenging hunts. However, there's a sense that Capcom has deliberately held back content, likely planning to introduce additional monsters and mechanics in future updates or expansion. This creates a lingering feeling that the game, while substantial, isn't quite complete at launch. One of the most noticeable aspects of Wilds is its overall lower difficulty compared to previous entries. The introduction of precision strikes makes combat easier, and a more generous loot system accelerates gear progression. While this design choice makes the game more approachable for newcomers, it risks diminishing the challenge for seasoned hunters. Even in high rank and endgame, encounters remain manageable, and the need for meticulous preparation, previously a hallmark of the series, is less pronounced. While this streamlining improves pacing and accessibility, it also lessens the sense of triumph that traditionally comes with overcoming Monster Hunter's toughest battles. Monster Hunter Wilds is a game of contrasts. It excels in refining its core gameplay, making combat more fluid and rewarding. However, its technical shortcomings, underwhelming narrative, and reduced difficulty may leave some players wanting more. The foundation is strong, and future updates may enhance the experience, but at launch, Wilds feels like a solid yet imperfect entry in the series. For newcomers, this is one of the most accessible Monster Hunter games ever. For veterans, while the thrill of the hunt remains, the reduced challenge and apparent content gaps might leave them hoping for more in future expansions. That said, the core of Monster Hunter, the joy of the hunt, the satisfaction of mastering weapons, and the thrill of facing off against massive beasts remains intact. Whether you're a longtime fan or stepping into this world for the first time, there's still plenty to enjoy. So gear up, sharpen your blades, and venture forth. The wilds await,